I'm going to do a pre-flight check on an Assassin. We've had quite a few questions and different people with different problems. I thought it might help to show you some of the tricks we do in setting up our planes. Let's start with center of gravity. You can see that I have a pin right here that I'm pushing into the wing. There's one on that side, and there's one over here on this side. When I turn the plane over, that will help me find the center of gravity. The location of the center of gravity depends on which plane you're flying. Whether you're flying an Assassin or a Titan or a Roswell, all have a different center of gravity, so make sure you check the plans for the appropriate center of gravity. It's usually about 22% of the entire wing, including the Elevons. If I flip this plane over and put those pins on my finger, I can feel that that plane wants to balance right on those pins. At this point, I know that my center of gravity is adequate for flying. Our EPP foam Elevons, when they come in the package, are so flimsy you can tie them in a knot. That speaks well for the EPP foam and tells you how tough it's going to be, but you've got to do something to stiffen those up in order to make them rigid enough to fly a plane. What we use is the Scotch extreme tape, put a layer of it on the Elevons all the way around, and then put a layer of laminate on, and that foam that's so flexible you can tie it in a knot becomes stiff enough that from the tip of the Elevon I can turn the servo, of course with the radio off. The servo is actually rotating as I turn from the tip of the Elevon. That tells you that I've got it rigid enough to fly the plane. If this is flexing, the plane's going to be all over the sky and you're not going to be in control. We're looking at the bottom of one of the Titan wings. Right here is the horn that comes through from the top. Doesn't matter what kind of horns you're using, whether they're store-bought or the 160-pound wire tie that we are using in our kits, but they will sooner or later tear up the balsa or the foam that they're mounted in. As we come down here, you'll see that I've used a shish kebab stick. Let me get the light right here. But you can see that shish kebab stick is just a piece of it's buried in right there in order to help secure the horn so that it is not so likely to tear loose in the foam. On one of the other planes I went in after the fact. This is just done with a drill bit. I drilled from one side, slid a piece of carbon up along the horn to help stabilize it. Works very well. I'm recommending that something be done to stabilize horns on all planes that are used for combat. They do tend to take some abuse on the horns. Also, in your pre-flight, make sure that the horns are tight. You can see that I have a horn that's a regular control horn that we use put in the middle of this Roswell wing. This Roswell push rod is about 12 inches long, and you would think that something that long would flex when you move it, but because of that horn in the middle, I can move the Elevon back here and the servo will turn up here. And it's vital also, as you'll notice, that the servo does not move, that the servo is so fixed in the foam that it won't move around. I've seen several people lately where their servo is moving 1/4 of an inch and then their Elevons are floppy. Make sure that your servos are glued tightly into the foam so that they won't allow the Elevon to move in directions you don't want it to. Here is a regular soda straw that is also being used for the same purpose. Keeps that wire contained so that it can't flex out and allow the plane to lose its control. And of course, here's the coffee straw. You can see that it's hot glued here, and it keeps that rod stiff enough by being a middle point between the servo and the horn to make it so that the wire won't flex.